Hello and welcome to Nerdy Gaming with Arabbidb3aver. I'm your host, the elusive Arabbidb3aver. Hope you guys are going to be in for the ride. We're going to be talking about something near and dear to my heart today in none other than the Xbox 360. So come along and let's have some fun. All right, guys. Hi, how are y'all doing? I'm the elusive Arabbidb3aver. I'm your host here at Nerdy Gaming with Arabbidb3aver. Now, we haven't done any gaming stuff in a couple weeks, and I just kind of wanted to go back and relive some nostalgia with you guys as stuff has happened. Different things are going down. The Xbox 360 store is coming to a complete close today. And let's talk about the memories that we had. So I bought my first Xbox 360 when I was in the Army in 2008. And it's actually this console that I've got sitting right here beside me. So this is my big bad boy right here. My big bad baby. I threw the intercooler on it. I've got a Nikon intercooler while I was on post there. I got mine at Fort Jackson, South Carolina in 2008. And it is the arcade edition, but it's not the silver face. It is a white face arcade edition. It came with the arcade games, which I still have. I didn't trade those in, guys. Let me find that for you real quick. It's right here in the midst of this huge pile of games that I'm holding here. So bear with me, just give me a second to remove the 30,000 games that I've got in front of me here to show you this one. So this is the arcade game that came with it in the arcade edition. And I'm telling you, man, just some great stuff. It had the original Uno with webcam at that point in time. That was before all the pervert alert happened. Everybody's showing their wiener on camera. But yeah, I mean, it had Pac-Man inside of it. It had Luxor inside of it. It had Boom Boom Rocket. If you don't know what Boom Boom Rocket is, that is the game, guys. That is so much fun. Just a ton of fun on that. And it did not have a manual whenever this first came out. So with the arcade game, it just came with the arcade game itself. So mine still works. Everything still works properly with this. But the live functions, apparently, because they're not going to be live anymore. But that was the game whenever it first came out. You could invite your friends. You could have fun. Pac-Man was on it. I mean, just so much stuff was built into this when it first came out. And to be honest with you, I did not touch the arcade games that came on this for about 7 years after I purchased it. It stayed on my shelf, and I did not touch not a one for 7 years. So until 14, 15, roughly, was when I first started playing the arcade side of it and getting into that thing. My first game for this was NBA Live. I bought NBA Live right out of the box, dude, with it whenever I got it at Fort Jackson. And it did not come with this beautiful 60 gigabyte hard drive that I've got on top of it. I actually got that at a pawn shop here locally whenever they were like $100. I got it for $50 at a pawn shop then. And I bought it and put it on top. I slung it on top of this bad boy right here. But man, the memories that I have with this mostly come from Call of Duty. So Modern Warfare 3 was where about 90%, of all my memories come from. And then there's other games that had like NBA 2K12. I bought the dual pack for 2K12 and to do the perfect game simulation on 2K12 for baseball, MLB 2K12 for baseball. My most memorable sports game, though, for this is Major League Baseball 2K8. They took a lot of the features that were in Madden at the time, the cards, the collections, the bobbleheads, stuff like that, and put it into a baseball game. And they actually made probably the best baseball game to date with Major League Baseball 2K8. Oh, Jose Reyes on the front, bringing back a lot of memories. The signature run style, the way that you could select your jerseys. Now, if you didn't have any of the unlockables and you couldn't purchase any of the unlockables from the live store at the time, they gave you different jerseys, different things, but you could unlock them as you got cards as well built on. Of course, 2K14 was a good game. How can you have, without having basketball, NCAA College Basketball 09? Great sports games. These are the games that I played on the 360. These are the ones that take you down memory lane, and some of them I still play. You know, to this day, I'm gonna move that section out of the way. But Modern Warfare 2, that was the game that actually got me really hardcore and heavy into the Modern Warfare series for the 360. And I hate that they shut down the multiplayer online player if you didn't have an account. I wish they would have kept that up running for Modern Warfare 2, Modern Warfare 3, but they didn't. They shut all that stuff down. Now, this is a game I've never opened, but I have played it on the Xbox One, but I got a copy of it for Christmas, and I kept it sealed. It's a sealed copy of Titanfall. So, but for the Xbox One, this was the game, bro. This was an absolute, that's the very end of the run of the 362. Very end of the run of it. 2K15. I played a lot of basketball, as you guys are seeing. I actually played basketball through college. So I was playing all these games, going in the Army, out of the Army, all that fun stuff going around. Now, this was the $1 Million Challenge game, the Roy Holiday edition right here. So these are what we played. These are what I played, man, all the time. The Jordan edition, 2K11. Now, this case is rough. I've beat and banged this thing up. And as you see, it has a $2 sticker on it because I got it at a yard sale for $2, bro. $2 for the Jordan edition. Go figure that one out. The Arkham Origins collection. Now, this bad boy is multi-disc on the inside with the manual. So, I mean, this is just going down memory lane, you know, picking up stuff, buying stuff. And how can you have it without having All Pro Football 2K8? You know what I mean? The All Pro, the Legends of Football here. And this is a complete collector's edition collected. So everything. Now, as you see, it had a $1.95 sticker sent on it where I bought it at McKay's a couple years ago, guys. And it still holds itself up very well. Great game. If you haven't ever played it, you definitely need to go through and play it. Of course, Black Ops, the game that changed 360 altogether, changed the way that we game currently altogether, was Call of Duty Black Ops. This was the major one that changed multiplayer and online player gaming as we know it today. This is the one that went platinum. This is a platinum sell, Black Ops. And everybody's got it. Everybody's got a portion of this somewhere inside of them. But look, man, I mean, you can't beat this crap, guys. And I think I've got 2 games on the inside of this one as well. I think I've got the original Black Ops, and I got Black Ops 2 that I lost the case for somewhere along the way. But I've got both Black Ops games here. Even got the instruction manual and the downloadable manual, all that good stuff inside of it. These are the games that we played that made a difference in our lives as we were going through. Now, Call of Duty Ghost. There's a lot we can say about this game. Was it a great Call of Duty game? No, but I think it was one of the best inventive games that they came out with. I think it had a lot of good features in it, but the multiplayer was broken in a lot of things. It became a sniper shooter's haven. If you're into sniping, this is your game. This is the one you want. But man, the funnest game inside of this game, this is a 2-disc set as well. You had an install disc, and you actually had the actual disc for this game because it was so big at the time that you had to have it. But the game that actually this game has inside of it that everybody should play, everybody whatsoever, is the Aliens, dude. If you play, it's their version of Zombies on the inside. If you don't play that, if you don't play Nightfall and all those, if you don't go through and do point of contact and all that crap on this, you are missing out. That's what this game was all about. And they actually should do a recall of this, especially the way that the game ended. If you played all the way through the story mode of Ghost, then you know that I know that you know about Rourke and what happened with Rourke. And they need to come out with a sequel for Ghost. That's my personal opinion. So Call of Duty Activision, Raven Games, Warhammer, all of it, Infinity Ward, if you guys are listening, come out with a second Call of Duty Ghost. We miss it. We want it to come back. I like the title. It was great. So Battlefield 3, the Hardened Edition, guys. The limited edition, Hardened Edition from DICE. That's a pretty good game right there. And it's a 2-discer as well. So you have an install, disc 1, disc 2, story mode, and regular mode. So as you see, I played a lot of sports games and a lot of shooter games. but it's because they were fun. And I think the best college football game, now this is my personal opinion, it don't matter for anything for anybody else, but the best college football game that they came out with was NCAA '08. I think it was the game that actually changed the franchise all the way together, changed every aspect of the football game was NCAA '08, and it made college football fun again. So, and 14 was the last edition that you got for the 360. You couldn't get it on the Xbox One. The entire Xbox One library was done. They finally came out for Series S and Series X with a brand new college football 25. But if we go back and we play, I have a bunch of them for regular Xbox as well over on my collection over here. But the one that really changed it and made the hit stick hittable, made running different, stiff arms, all of it. You could do everything was '08. It was the game that started it all. It's the game that we brought back and we've had a lot of fun with throughout the years, So NCAA '08 is great. Now, I have Madden downloaded to the hard drives up here, and I think Madden 12 is my favorite Madden that they came out with. So Madden 2012 was probably my favorite one that they have in that series. And then NFL 2K5. So I still play 2K5 for the original Xbox on my 360. And if it would go to my Xbox One, if they would update the titles and load it, I would do it on there too. Because I think that 2K5 is the greatest NFL game that's ever been created to date. And that's saying a lot for me because they've added a lot of good features into Madden the last couple of years, but it's just not the same. Now, the nostalgia that we get from the Xbox 360 when we look at it, like I said, I've got an old fat white edition here from 2008, and it did have to get sent off to Microsoft for the Red Ring of Death. I sent it off in 2013. I sent this thing off to get it fixed. It was gone 8 weeks and came back to me, and they fixed it. They fixed everything, and it's been running solid ever since. Now, it does have a little hiccup with it that's just started, and that's when you hit the eject button, it doesn't want to open anymore because the ribbons and stuff have started to waste their way out of that. So the way that I've been getting around with it is the old slap method. I make sure nothing's inside of it, and I'll slap the top of it, and it'll pop right out for me. Then I try to lubricate what I can. If I can get some Vaseline or something in there to lubricate those, lubricate the ribbons that are on the inside of it, I do. And then it'll work for a little bit, work for about 4 or 5 months solid on me, but then it'll lock itself right back up. Now, do you remember what the 360 controller was? I think the 360 controller is the best controller ever designed and ever built, in my personal opinion. The comfort, the playability, the way that the buttons are laid out, it's the way that it should be. And the Xbox One actually failed with this controller. They tried to redesign it, but the weight of this controller, everything was perfect for you holding the controller. So I've got a black one. I've got a white one somewhere, but I don't know if you can see it, but I've wore the knobs all the way down on mine from playing using this stick so much. I've wore the controller buttons to the point to where they stick. The A button does not work on this controller anymore at all. And I've just got it as a keepsake, as a memory, because I remember when this thing was what it was supposed to be. And I think the best thing that they did was these removable battery packs. So if you don't know, you could put regular batteries inside of a casing that was similar to this. This held batteries on the top instead of being an actual battery pack. Let me get it in front of you without dropping it. But they made it to where you could do that and keep your controller running for long periods of time. They made an extension cord that could plug in directly right here to this little gray section in the top, and it would charge your wireless controller so that you could play your Xbox 360. But the problem is, after a certain amount of time with these rechargeable batteries like this, is they completely die. They completely go bad, and you can't charge them anymore. So you have to use your wire in order to turn the Xbox on and to get it to go, to get it to start. But man, the memories that I have of playing this console while using all this stuff just brings back stuff. Now, I've got the original white one, but it's in a bin behind me over here somewhere. I'm just not digging through the bin to find it. So let's talk about the store, things that are going on with the Xbox in the store. So as we all know, they're closing the store out today. It's going to be the last day for the store, period. If you don't have any of the stuff that you're looking for, the Xbox store is going to be no longer. So they're going to be cutting off online functionality to most of the servers based on that as well. So I would encourage you, if you could buy anything or get anything, today is the cutoff, guys. I mean, you might as well get it. You might as well buy it. You might as well put it out there. You might as well do what you can for it just to keep it alive. One thing that I think that these companies are doing, Xbox, Microsoft, Sony, all of them, is they're cutting off their digital consoles and their sales. So these creators, it doesn't matter if they're selling on the Xbox store, Xbox 360 store or not, you made a mistake by stop producing for the console itself. The console still works. There's people still playing it. There's people still using it. Not as many people as there was in 2008 because it was brand new, or in 2014, right before you cut everything completely out for it and opened up the Xbox One. But there's people still playing this console, and there's people that are still got their heart attached to this console and trying to make it work in 2024. That speaks volumes for the console itself. I still play it from time to time in my NBA 2Ks. I'm still on a franchise in NBA 2K that I haven't finished yet. I've still got about another 3 years worth of franchise time left in my NBA 2K to finish it, and I still play it. So, that's something that I do. And as a dinosaur collector with my bird, as they say, you get to see a lot of stuff that comes out and happens. And, I was in the Army, like I said, when I got this console. NBA Live was still a thing at that point in time when I got this console, and I bought it. I played it all the way through. I just was interested in Halo, trying to get involved in Halo whenever it first came out. It was Halo 3 was actually the big one for this console, and Reach and ODST. I got involved in all of that in this console. I got involved in some of the Gears of War, not all of them. I like Gears of War. Okay. I really was involved in Call of Duty a lot. I still have those, as you've seen earlier, some of the games and stuff that I have just from that generation, just from moving that stuff. It was near and dear to my heart at that point in time, and reliving that stuff, reliving that nostalgia and going back through and playing. Does the console still work? Absolutely, it still works. Like I said, the problem is the disc tray on this one is starting to fade out. So I'm going to have to replace it. I'm going to have to open up and replace that disc tray. The good thing about these disc readers and stuff is on the early editions, they weren't married to the motherboard. So you could actually just replace the drive completely, buy a new drive and replace it completely. And it was cheaper than trying to resolder and have somebody else go in and do the soldering to marry everything to the motherboard to keep it right. Like with the Xbox One and 1S. My 1S, the disk drive is starting to go out, the automatic disk drive where you put it in, it sucks it in. It's starting to go out on it. And they quoted me $650 at one of the places just to take the old drive off, unsolder it, solder the new drive on, and screw it in and lock it. $650, guys. So think about that for a second versus buying a $100 drive, opening up the console yourself, 3 screws, 4 screws, pulling it out and putting the new one in, and there you go. You got a brand new drive. So that's what you got to think about. $100 versus $600 to do something like that. So they were thinking about money and not efficiency involved. And it's worked for them. I mean, you got a lot of people who are brand conscious. Now, I did some things like I told you with the intercooler. Like I bought this external intercooler, if I can get it off. External intercooler, and it's dirty, guys. So please bear with me because I haven't blown it out in God knows how long, about 4 months, 5 months. So it's dirty. But I bought it from Nyko. It's a Nyko EX intercooler. And I've had this thing, God. I got it a week after I got the console. So in 2008 is when I got the console. So I've had it since 2008 and it worked just fine. It works just fine. Just has little issues here and there, but it's got 3 extra fans in the back. So it gives you a total of 4 fans across for this, and it plugs directly in. I mean, it plugs directly into the power supply, and then you plug the power supply in to the back of the console directly That's a cool little intercooler feature to try to help keep this console extra cool, extra cold going forward. When I bought this, HDMI was the first thing. So this is the second set of Xboxes that came out, second set of releases that came out for this. And HDMI was not on the first set, but it was on the second set of arcade. And that's where I got it at. I got the first set of HDMI ports built into it. I have the USB port there that's made for the Kinect, which I do have a Kinect somewhere. I do not know where it's at, but I do have one somewhere. And I have the audio video cords available as well for it, and the IO features as well on it, made directly for it. And I have a complete repair date on this console. I had everything done to it, had everything inspected and reassembled, put back together from Microsoft in Redmond after it got sent off. And I'm telling you, man, it's just a great console overall. Now, will these consoles fail? Yes, they will. They will fail eventually. Things will happen to them. Things will break down with them. Lots of stuff will go on with the games. One of the things that PlayStation had that Xbox didn't was that Blu-ray player. And those Blu-rays, you could not destroy the disc. These CD, DVR, DVD, RWs that they're using on these, if you slap it, the console drops. Like if you got it stationary standing up and the console drops and there's a game inside of it, they ring those discs. And some of them you can buff out and play, and others will just be completely inoperable. If you slap it while it's on, if something hits the system while it's on, it'll do the same thing. So, I have a black one, had a black one. I don't know where it's at. I don't know if I can't remember if I sold it or not. I may have sold it in some stuff, but I had an E edition, which was the last edition that they came out with the built-in Wi-Fi. And they took some features away from it. They took the audio video port away from it. They went to just straight HDMI on the back of it. And they took the Kinect features away for it as well, where they only put the USB ports in the front for that edition on it, but nothing in the back. And I had that for a long time, and I liked it. I liked it very well. The one thing that I used it a lot for was Tomb Raider on that one. I like that one. The graphics looked better for Tomb Raider as they went on. Of course, this being the launch, the second edition launch that came out with the white face in the arcade later in 2008. This being that it didn't have the upgraded graphics card as they did. It didn't have that Jaguar graphics card that was put in at a later date, and the Nvidia graphics card is still inside of it. So, there's lots of little changes that were made over the years to try to make maximum capacity with it. Now, these are great. These still run great. The graphics still run great. They still look good, but little upgrades were made throughout the years, and especially right before the Xbox One completely came out. The e-consoles can actually be converted into Xbox One. So that was one of the really cool features about having an e-console, is you could make it into an Xbox One and it would read the disc for the Xbox One, and you could play it with your 360 and your 360 controller. They cut that crap out. They cut the ability to do it out. Microsoft took all the software down in 2015 or 2016 from the ability to do that. But if you still had one of the flash drives that you could jump it off of, you could change all the software and turn these actually into an Xbox One, which was a really cool feature for them back at that time. But Microsoft realized that they were losing the console war and losing the money war, and they changed it. So Xbox 360 won on that front. It won on a lot of fronts there. It did not win the sales front. It did not win the gaming front. I mean, it had a lot of games. It had a lot of developers for it. It had a lot of third-party developers. It had a lot of arcade developers. It had a lot of people that were actually interested and intrigued in building and working with the architecture of Microsoft, and inside that architecture and doing the gaming community themselves. One of the best games I think that they did, that they continued from the original Xbox, was the World Series of Poker. Now, they cut the servers off of it somewhere after 12, but that was one of the best built games for the console directly, and online playing games for the console directly at that point in time. And I actually miss it. I wish they would come back out with the new World Series of Poker and do it just basically based off of the 360. And there's a lot of games that the servers are still paid for this day, but the servers have been taken down off of the game sales. So there's a Call of Duty is one of them. So Modern Warfare 3, if you guys were not playing Modern Warfare 3 before 15, they completely cut the servers out to you. If you try to buy a copy of it, you're not able to get into it. Same thing on the PlayStation. If you weren't an original PlayStation 3 user, they did the same thing for you. But the servers are still up and running for those that actually had it before that date. So, there's a lot of things that have gone on that should have not gone on that front. I think that they should be open to everybody. Is you've limited your sourcing and your ability with this console based upon your sales numbers and how they're projecting. Well, if you wanted the console to be relevant, you give it games that are relevant. Period. End of story. The console's still good. It can still run games. It can still do things. Keep it mainstream, keep it in the eyes of the public. And that's one of the things that these companies have yet to do, is because they're wanting to push more console sales out and new console sales out, because that's where their money's at. But you're losing money on hardware, whereas you're gaining money on software. So your software sales are going to be where your licensing deals are for PlayStation, Xbox, for Dreamcast, if the Dreamcast is actually going to come out, the Dreamcast 2 that we've been so desperately waiting for over 20 years now. If you guys have noticed that's where the money's at, is in software and games. And Dreamcast had a new game release just a couple months ago. It came out for it. So they can still be building games for these consoles that can be fun, that can be multiplayer, that can be running out there. It's just a matter of, are they willing to do it? The money problem is the servers that were up for certain of these games are still paid for. Call of Duty is still paid for to this day, but other games did not produce the amount of money that Call of Duty was producing, and their servers had to be shut down early. That's the problem with all the consoles across all the generations, is once something becomes not profitable, they shut it off, they kill it, boom, it's dead. And then they have to move on to something else. Now, I remember whenever I got this, we had the Blades menu that popped up. It was in different sections, for those of you that don't know what we're talking about with the Xbox 360. But then they changed it to the tiles. I don't remember exactly the date when they changed it, because my console was offline from 2008 until 2010. I actually put my console online in 2011 is when I first put the white console online. When it came alive to me, they updated the entire software. It had 3 software updates in it. So I don't know which update it was that changed it over, but I got tiles afterwards. I like the tiles. They were pretty cool. They were pretty good, but they changed a lot of the features with it too. So one of my friends had this 360 as well, and he used to do Netflix, and he would send requests out for Netflix. And while I was in the Army, I was watching him use it. He was watching Netflix with his wife, and they actually had him in like a theater seat. It was really cool. There's just stuff that you remember that's nostalgic to the 360 that's not there anymore. Of course, Netflix moved on and did some other things. We're drinking San Pellegrino mineral water, for those of you that are wondering. But excuse me. But some of that stuff is just not there and available anymore. First console to do voice messaging, or you could message somebody directly through a voice and send them a voice message. First console to really open up the capabilities of the console directly through the kernel software, where you could access everything from family features all the way through. This was the first console that did it. PlayStation copied a lot of that stuff inside of their XMB. So there was a lot of stuff that got copied. There was a lot of stuff that changed in between the console wars. And overall, PlayStation 3 may have won the war, but we're still remembering the years of Xbox. And to this day, I think Xbox is a far greater console as far as graphics and gaming goes. But the amount of titles that they have is less superior than PlayStation. PlayStation just has that push with titles and push with the crowd and push for people to actually own and do their stuff. But there's so much that could happen directly from this. Do you guys remember the Doritos Crash Course? I remember Doritos Crash Course as a demo, and it got me hooked. Stuff like that. Bejeweled, games like Bejeweled first came out for it. Luxor. Those games were were classic games. They used to do the revolutionary casino games on side of it. I liked some of the casino games. I really liked them very well. They did the bicycle casino that was inside of it at one point in time. Greg Hastings paintball. I mean, you had excellent options for games during this period, during this time in your life, and it just made something nostalgic, made something happen. And I'm glad that you guys got to come along with this journey. Unfortunately, I didn't have any video footage to show you today other than the actual console itself. I think that this was the hourglass design that they did on these was one of the sleekest and prettiest looking designs that you could do, mimic directly out of the hourglass. And to this day, I think it holds up great. And as I told you, with this 60 gigabyte hard drive, just in addition to add on there, just beautiful the way that this works, just snap-on stuff. And that's a hard drive. It's a snap-on hard drive, guys, so that you could download extra stuff to it. Now, this was 4 gigs originally, and I put the 60 gig in it and made it 64 gigs. So that's what we've got on that one directly. Now, you could actually go up to 500 gigs later on in the console's life. 128 was like the top of the line at one point in time for this. So, that's how far technology has come. We're looking at terabyte hard drives, 2 terabyte hard drives, 3 terabyte hard drives today, 4 terabyte hard drives in some cases, and external 4 terabyte hard drives in some cases. 60 gigs was all you got back in the day. Think about that. That's how far technology has come and where we're going in our future with this. But I remember the Xbox 360. I hope you do too. I hope you remember all the good games, all the good times that you had, all your friends, all the servers that you got to play on, all the people you met. And I hope that one day we'll see the Xbox 360 come back to life and breathed new life back into the console. That's for well wishing, but until next time, you guys heard it here first on Nerdy Gaming with Arabbidb3aver. Y'all be safe. Have a good evening. Bye-bye.